Welcome to Worklifecyber. Today I'm going to talk to you about my first day, my first week, my first 90 days, and my new jobs. And I'm just going to pick a few examples, use a few examples to just let you know how my first day was. And maybe you can pick a few things from it. So, when my first job, and for privacy, I'm not going to say the company names, but my first job, I was a security analyst. And in this case, I was in charge of GRC. They had a GRC tool that I was in charge of vendor risk analysis from A to Z. I mean, we were a small team, so we broke all the rules and I did everything. I will send out vendor assessment. I will review the assessment and then approve it. But that's just like me saying, okay, this is okay to go. But I still had to take it through my boss for my boss to say, okay, because I will let him know, okay, I reviewed it. I got this information. I got such and such, and then I reviewed it and it's good to go. Then my boss will kind of confirm. He will review and confirm. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying I approve it. Yeah. By the time I'm sending it to my boss, it's like I'm telling him my decision for him to go off of it. He's not going to do the actual assessment, but let me not digress. So that was, and then I was in charge of training and awareness. I was in charge of, I did everything. Maybe 8 months down the road, we got 2 more people to help, and that really helped everything. I did SOX, SOX assessments. So that job was excellent because I learned a lot. It was my first job. I learned so many things. But on my first day, that was the company. If you watched my previous video, my why. No, this will be my how. My how I got into cybersecurity, IT. You will know that my first job, my boss agreed to train me. Don't count on that. The training is still on you. They will mention what you need to know, and then you go get your own training. Don't get it twisted. If you say, I don't have experience, I'm not ready to apply, you will never be ready. And no one, I want someone who will train me. No one has time for that. They will tell you they will train you, but they don't have time. They have good intent. I digress. So, my first day, very, very first day, I walked through the door. It was in person, yes. Yeah. I don't know anything, and I'm doing in person work. I walked through the door. They gave me a seat. My laptop was ready. Actually, I picked up my laptop at like a week before. It wasn't the time to start, but even though it wasn't remote, I picked up my laptop because there was an option in case anything happened. It was an in-person, but there was an option in case I wanted to work from home. But my boss really wanted us to work in person. But so I sat down, and then the first thing they did was verify. I think it's I-9, where I don't know what it's called, but you show your social security or driver's license or any government ID for them to verify. They have an e-verification. It didn't work for me. Like they set me up to log in into the portal and everything, but it didn't work. So I did everything in person. So my boss looked at my IDs and verified. HR was on the phone. They verified everything and then logged in into my emails. I had already tested my emails and it was working. I had already tested, sorry, so many distractions today. So, now I've lost my train of thought. So I did that. I did the verification. I went into my email to see if anyone emailed. Everything was welcome on board. HR welcoming me, a few applications I needed to log in. I tried to log in because my boss was like, try and log in, try and access all these apps. He showed me where to go, and the company has like a centralized application place where I clicked on all of them to make sure I was in. There were some I had problems, and right there and there, we solved them. And this took a long time. I think by the time I finished doing all these, it was like time for lunch. And my boss was like, let's all go for lunch. we all went for lunch. The building had a cafeteria, so we went downstairs for lunch. And during lunch, he was like, "Okay, tell me about yourself. Tell me about what do you expect to?" I didn't expect all these things to happen, but the good thing is I wasn't nervous. In my head, I'm like, "You've already hired me. Now, whatever I say." I knew it wasn't a test, is what I'm saying. So I wasn't nervous. I just chatted and tried to remember everything I told them, because interviewing can be tricky. But anyway, so, and I say try to remember everything I told them is because you say lots of nice things. You have confidence when you're doing interviews and you make promises. And now when they say, what do you expect to accomplish? During lunch, they ask you, what do you expect to accomplish? What value are you bringing to this table? You have to remember what you said at the interview when they asked you, how can you help us? Because you Google these things and you rattle them. But now you're on the job. How can you help us? This is not a cookie cutter kind of, you've seen a little bit. So I just said that, let me get back to you on that. I see a lot of things that I can help with, but I don't want to jump the gun. I want to be able to learn the environment and see where it's lacking, which areas need improvement. Yeah, I said all these nonsense, like I am too known. But anyway, so I said all these things. We talked about my family. He talked about his family. There was this other guy who was not in our department, but he joined for lunch, which was good because it lightened the mood. He talked about his family, and then so that all those things were nice. We went back to the office, and the first thing was he emailed me policies and said, these policies he is in charge of. He's reviewing, rewriting some of them, editing, all those nice stuff. So when he's done, he will send it to me to quickly read to see what I can add. Like, not change anything, but things like semicolon in the wrong place, comma here and there, period that's not supposed to be there, kind of things. So because I'm not, it's way above my pay grade to be editing policies and standards. I didn't know the company enough to even chip in. So, and that helped me because anyway, so I read through all that. So it depends on what company. When you go, you are not creating the task. They will give you what to do, and then you take it from there. And I had never, and I immediately said, I haven't done that before, but I'm going to read through it. And I really took my time to read it. I wasn't in a rush. He was sitting in the same room. This is not like remote where you can call your friend, you can Google and all these things. I did Google. So not for the policies. Yeah, in subsequent days, I Googled. I was like, I don't know how to do this. And I Googled. He was sitting right there. I'm saying this to say we're all humans. So he was sitting right there. He gave it to me. I took my time. I read it. I saw a lot of typos. And I saw, because he was one man doing everything. And I saw a lot of things that could have been changed. And then even the order, there were bullet points where I thought, okay, this and this, like if we're talking about password authentication, I think the first thing, if we're talking about MFA, we should just put SSO right next to it, just for the flow. So it wasn't like any big deal, these things, and he loved it. I was literally just rearranging what he wrote or catching like typos. And it's not like a typo that autocorrect can correct. It was like maybe instead of updated, it was updated, instead of, so it's correct, but it's not correct, kind of things. And I made all the changes. There was a tracker anyway, so that was my first day. By the time I was done with this at 5:15, he was like, hey, you've been here since 8 o'clock. I got there at 8. I was supposed to start at 8:30. I thought to get there at 8 and log in and wait for them. When I got there, they were already there. So, no. He told me to get there at 9. My time was 8:30 to 5. But he said, get there at 9, since it's for your first week, you can get there at 9, to give him the opportunity to get there early and be ready for me. But I got there at 8:30 to, just in case I get lost, I can't find my key fob, doesn't work, whatever it was. So I got there, and then he's like, "You've been here for too long, go home." So that was 5:30, 5:15. So we both actually walked out. It was a very nice, pleasant. I was on cloud nine when I was going home because there was no embarrassment. I didn't trip and fall, all those things. My second day, he said, log in into our GRC2, which I did. And he said, just play around, look around. And I did that. I clicked on every button. I read all the help, the overview, all the help that comes with the app. I did all that. It was actually interesting to me because it was my first IT job. And I was learning practically everything from scratch. So the time went by so quick. In fact, he was like, "What are you going to have for lunch?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'll go downstairs and find something." My first week, I didn't take my lunch. Everywhere I go, I take my own lunch because I'm from Ghana and I don't do American food too well. So nothing wrong with it. I love it, but it doesn't seem to fill me. And if you've had kinky or plantain, you know that those things fill you for the day. Anyway, so that week I didn't take anything. So I'm like, "Oh, I'll go grab a sandwich." And then he's like, "Okay, I'm going to the cafeteria, call in your order, and then I'll pick for you." I did, and you can pay online. But I'm saying this to say I'm not used to it because, coming from Ghana, the subordinate goes to get lunch. But here it was like, "Oh, okay, thank you." But anyway, that was just on the side. But anyway, talk about seven kings, right? But anyway, he grabbed the lunch, we ate, and then, I take my words back. So I wasn't the only person he hired. There was another person who started a week before me, so we were both new. This sweet lady, I'm not going to mention her name, I almost did. And so that also helped, where we are both learning, we're both teaching each other. And so that whole week, it was learn. Then it was like you click on one app, and then you try to learn everything there is. And then he's like, "Okay, this is what we do with vendors. And then this is what we do with in-house applications. We're in the middle of SOX audit, not SOX audit. So let me show you what to do." He showed me how to request for artifacts. And then I started requesting for artifacts. That was a lot of work. So it took days. Now, here's a good thing that helped me or eased up a little bit. So that whole week, I was just sending out SOC requests. Some were responding very quickly, so I will receive the response and review it. He was showing me how to review it. He showed me how to quickly review, and I have a video on that. He taught me that. He showed me how to quickly review SOC reports, which I did, and so it was fun the very first week. 2-3 weeks I was doing the same thing, send artifacts, because we have so many applications. I want to say we had the applications that were SOX compliant with 31, or was it 27? It was 27, but with time it became 31, and then by the time I was leaving, I think it was like 35. If you worked with me before, I could be wrong, but I know it wasn't more than, it was between 30 and 40, let's say. And then we were doing ITGC controls. We had 27 ITGCs. Now I would have done it differently, but back then I would take like ITGC1. And if you don't know what it is, let me know if you want me to do a video on ITGCs, or you can just Google it, really. It's very customizable, so it's not one size fits all. So I would take one ITGC. We had, 21. Actually, we had 25 because 21 was 21A, 21B, 21C, and 21D. So we had 25 ITGCs. So I will send requests for artifacts for each control to all 30, let's say 27 is what I started with, all 27 application owners, and then go to ITGC2, all 27. But I think there's a way to just pick the application owner and send all 27 to him to do it, because it confused them, it confused me, it was a bit chaotic. If I am to go back and do it, because it was my first job, I actually didn't know I could tweak it until much later. By the time I figured we could do it, I was also getting ready to leave, looking for new jobs. But anyway, not story for another day. But so my first week, so the second day is when I started doing artifacts requests. SOX, started joining in the SOX audit at the same time, trying to learn everyone's name. So one task would take longer. My boss was fine with it. Everyone is usually graceful for your new jobs. So I started requesting for artifacts. It took longer. By Q2, when I went there, I started in December. So they were rounding up, and I got involved with access management that same week, which was very done. So I did all the artifacts requests at the same time, trying to even find where the kitchen is, where the restrooms are, and all these things. So it was fun. And then, so I started, this work was in December. So January, we started Q1. And I got involved with access reviews. And that also took a lot of my time. Actually, access review was for the other security analyst that was hired with me, but the training was for both of us. And we got involved. We started calling people. All the team leaders were supposed to access reviews. That is kind of access management, identification and access management. So what happens is, if the application, let's say Azure, the team leader is Mr. A, you send all the people to him, and it's an app, so you don't have to figure out who works with Mr. A. You send a request to Mr. A to go through and see if all the people in his team still need access, still have the right access. If they don't have the right access, he will say revoke. Maybe they have been terminated. Maybe they have moved to a new department. Maybe they've been promoted. Maybe they've been demoted. Maybe they've quit all along and they've been terminated in the system, but they haven't been revoked for the individual applications. That's when he would just go in and click revoke, 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 or maintain, maintain, maintain. And once I review that, then I will run. There's a click that you click, and then it will maintain and revoke anyone who has moved on. All right. So I got into that. This is still the first 90 days. So the first week, I was getting around for people, trying to figure things around, started reviewing policies. It wasn't rewriting the policies, just reviewing them, reading through to catch simple mistakes. And then I started getting into SOX audit, which he trained me, showed me how to request for artifact in the GRC tool. So I started requesting for the artifacts. He showed me how to review the artifacts that I received. And this was throughout Q1. So I would say the first month, that's all I was doing. The first 90 days, that's all I was doing. That it was part of what I was doing. And during that same first month, he trained us on, me and the other lady, on IAM, identification and access management. And so even though I did the training and actually sent out the request the first month, it wasn't my job responsibility. I just learned it. And then it went over to the other lady to permanently manage that. So I know how to do it. And what I did was I tried to sit in any training that I hear of just to learn. So the first 90 days was like, okay, you've been here 30 days. What do you think needs improvement? What value can you give us? They did the 90-day review, and my boss was very happy with me. He said, not me, he said that he enjoys the enthusiasm I bring. You know, I'm always eager to learn. I'm always ready to learn, to help, and all those things. These things, you think nobody is looking, because he never said these things. He wasn't actually, after the first 2 weeks, he stopped coming in. After the first 3 weeks, or maybe the first month, he stopped coming in person, and he was working remote. Me and the other lady were the only ones who went in person. But it didn't bother me. I have kids. I have very active kids, not complaining. So it helps to work not from home anyway. So the first month, I had learned how to really use the GRC. I knew it inside out. I was an admin. Yep. I was an admin. I could revoke access. I could give access. I could do all the dashboards. I spent hours learning that thing. So he was impressed. You don't think they are looking? I didn't even do it for that. I was just learning it because it was my first job and I was ready. I was really eager to learn, and I strongly believe that we get what we deserve. And whether someone is looking or not, I strongly believe that we get what we deserve. And yes, we can ask for raise, we can fight for more money, but I feel like when you've done the secret work, the public display of gratitude, the public display of blessing is undeniable most of the time. So that was my first week, my first day, my first week, and the first 90 days. I was almost a pro. The only thing I didn't know by my first 90 days was the people. It was a lot of people, 16,000 employees. And you have to kind of familiarize yourself with all the team leaders, because those are the ones you are asking artifacts from, and all the application owners. So I keep messing up their names. I keep forgetting who does what. You don't have to memorize these things. Everything is in Outlook. And so those are the things. And then actually navigating the entire building. It was a big, only 4-story building, but it has so many corners. So that was just by the way. So that's what happened. And after that 90 days, by 90 days, I knew exactly everything on my table, which was a lot. He gave me everything. In June, so I started in December. By June, the other lady was leaving us, and everything that she was doing came to my plate. It was good and bad. I became a little overwhelmed, but then I learned so much more. I took over the vulnerability management. I took over IAM fully. And so thank God, June she left. August, we got 2 new people to help with the burden, but I had already learned all these wonderful things that I will carry with me forever. So that's it. My second job was also very similar. Actually, I was told to review policies. And you know why? Because of my resume, I put that I can review policies. So I was told to review policies, and then afterwards, get to know the application, run around, check around the people. And so it's similar. You go there, they give you something. Your first day, they're giving you the environment. They are giving you access to applications. They're giving you click, don't do much, just familiarize yourself. So really, your first 90 days, you're just familiarizing yourself and trying to learn application, trying to learn processes. And if they don't have processes, you ask for it. Okay, how do you guys do vendor management? How do you guys do whatever job they've asked you to do? You ask them plainly. How do you do it? In my previous company, we did it this way, that way, and that way. How do you want people do yours? So that they can train you. Don't just assume you know. Even if you know, ask how they do it so that you don't mess up processes. If you think something needs improvement, you run it by your boss. No one is an island when it comes to work. We are a team. Everyone, ask yourself, what value can I bring to this company? Before you ask, how much more can I get? All right. Let me know if this was helpful, and if there's anything that you would like to know. I think this may be the last of the story times. I did 3 story times. Why I got into IT, how I got into IT, and my first days at this video I'm doing now. But I think it's probably going to be my last story time. The last of the story times. Let me know if you think I should do 1 more or 2 more, but you are going to have to give me the topic. And if I am up for it, I will do it. I mean, if I have something to say. All right. Thank you. Please subscribe, hit the notification button, and let's learn together.